Hello there, everybody. I am delighted today with another Kerfuffle exclusive to talk to Jeff Quantrell of Eden Estates. And the reason why, well, first of all, Jeff, it'd be fantastic to talk to you anyway. Great agent you are. But of even more interest to people and the wider industry here is you are the second client, as far as I'm aware, the first person to go on camera to talk about the fantastic new product that's on the top of everyone's lips, the Street CRM product from the powerhouse that is Spectre. That's right, isn't it? I've got nothing wrong there. That's good to way to start.
You've nailed it there, Simon. Yeah, I think you've got it down to a T, my friend.
Well,
lovely to speak to you too.
Good stuff. Well, look, we know each other days of old. Obviously, I sold, missold you CRM software, simple software in the past, and you've been lovely because you still talk to me, and that's great. So, look, I'm just obviously there's so many people that's keen about it. I don't know if you saw the other day, over 1,000 people were registered for the webinars. You know, they've been talking about they've been in this for the last 3 months. Sorry, not 3 months. They've managed to keep a lid on this for 3 years in development. I'd have got it out after 3 weeks, totally half cocked, but you know, that's the way I work. And I described it when I saw it a little bit just before you, obviously you did, and I said, "Wow, that's a genuine, I think, once in a 10-year kind of evolution." Now we need to caveat everything here in terms of say, you know, they're only talking about it being a beta system now. You went into this, and we'll come on to that a little bit more, but you went into this as you were starting up your new business, and you knew that obviously you were going to essentially be testing it for a large degree, you know, so getting things honed and everything else. So it wasn't going to be perfect, but how's the experience been for you overall?
Okay, yes. So yeah, I think first and foremost, the experience with the people has been fantastic. I mean, from Heather initially to Stella and Catherine, who we've dealt with on a daily basis, they've been first class. So you know, it goes without saying they're obviously lovely people. First and foremost, been a joy to deal with. But yeah, as far as my introduction to Street was via yourself, as you know, and we were obviously in the process of starting the new business, and was very familiar with all of the other CRMs out there, and obviously when you tipped us the wink, if you like, and introduced us to Heather, it was initially a conversation we had where we were told that it wasn't ready, and from what I was told and seen, I was obviously excited to hear more, and yet we were told probably wouldn't be until latter parts of this year, early parts of next year, wouldn't be ready. Nevertheless, we've seen enough of it after a little demo to think, we were very excited to find out more, and happy to be, you know, for want of a better description, the guinea pigs.
Yeah, well, someone's got to do that, haven't they? Ultimately, there as well.
About the same sort of size of a guinea pig, so it works.
As long as you don't get in the same places, let's not go there. I think what I love about Heather and the business there is they've almost gone actively out of their way to dissuade people. You had to really fight, didn't you? Because they, you know, lots of companies say, look, we want to, you know, under promise and over deliver, and they don't really believe it. But these guys genuinely did, and you said, look, actually, this is a perfect scenario for us. First and foremost, it's got to be said, I think I'm right in saying there was no need for a data conversion per se, because you were starting a new business, and that's one of the things they've got to deal with, obviously, with all these hundreds of businesses going to them, is that is just a pain in the neck. You were in charge of it in the previous business, you know what a nightmare that is, but that was why you felt quite comfortable, actually, you know, I can grow with this system as it grows, doesn't it? So when you saw it, what was your first thoughts in terms of the demonstration?
Well, so the first thoughts, obviously, it looks amazing. So I mean, I think certainly the before you sort of play around with it and touch it, if it aesthetically looks sexy, you know, not only does it look sexy, if I'm honest, initially it looked too simple. It looked like there was bits missing. When you talk about the other CRMs that I've used, you think, hang on a minute, you know, there's got to be stuff missing here. But it was very, very, basic, but I mean that in a positive way. Everything was in, you know, they took an obvious path. So impressed with the.
There's no clutter there at all, is there? Many
No,
other
no.
systems, and I suppose this is natural, as they evolve when they add new functionality in, there's a button here, there's a bit there, everything else. But one thing the guys at Spectre, and why I have confidence, by the way, that won't happen with them, is if you still look at Spectre now, many years on everything else, it's their UI is exceptional, isn't it? That
Absolutely.
experience is really, really, really clean, really crisp. And that's important, by the way, people. It's not just about, it looking sexy. And I always feel a bit daft when you describe software, but it is sexy, but it's important as well, because the less buttons and fields you have on there, the more chance you've got of focusing and making sure you're getting the data in the right accuracy and volume, isn't it?
Absolutely. And when you've been doing it for as long as me, from from the dark ages when these CRMs first came out, it's a million miles away from that. But like I say, initially I'm sitting there, old hat estate agent, thinking there's something missing. It's not right, But having been under the bonnet of it now for coming up to 4 or 5 months, and obviously there's developments being made sometimes daily. It's still simple to use, and even if even if you're bringing someone new into the business, you might take a couple of days to show them some of the old stuff, but more than that, send them on a 2-week training session. But there's about 5 or 6 little Streetwise videos you can watch. When they told me that, I thought, Jesus Christ, no thanks, I haven't got a month to watch them. But they're no longer. I think the longest one might be 13 minutes long.
So those are bite-sized, almost Netflixy, aren't they? You can do them when you want, commuting, whatever else. And
I know that's nothing new, but the great thing about it is it was 10 minutes, 13 minutes, and you knew what to do. Even me. So it was.
Well, and I've got to be diplomatic here, Jeff. So like anyone who knows you will say that you're one of the best agents around, but especially as and I mean this in the best way, but you're not, a massive techie, are you? The fact that it took you 5 minutes to turn yourself off mute when we joined this call.
Just downloaded Zoom, just my first Zoom meeting of lockdown. It
was when you were pressing the screen like this, I started worrying. But that's really important as well, because let's be honest, you shouldn't have to be. You don't have to be. So actually, you can have the best system in the world, and a simple system is there. What's the hand-holding been like from the team at Spectre?
Brilliant. I mean, like I say, the 2 people we've dealt with on a literally daily basis, and they're coming to us. It's not just it's not just to let us know, if there's a problem. Catherine and Stella have been first class, and obviously letting us know when things change. But if you've had a problem, and obviously, there's going to be teething problems. They obviously think we knew what we'd signed up for, and they are they've been very, very keen to know what the estate agent thinks and wants to happen. They've resolved those things from for us instantly. If I messaged Catherine last night 8 o'clock, and she's coming, sorry Catherine, but she's coming back to me 5 minutes later. No pressure for you.
You've set the SLA now, haven't you, in terms of what to do.
But it's been a personalised experience. They've looked after us. Very much so.
I mean, that's great to hear. And one thing that I think is, that people will be interested there, as many companies are actually, they talk about software as a service, these buzzwords. But what they start to lose, and I don't think they have to lose this, is the personal service. Some companies go to the when you actually, the only way you can actually talk to us is submitting a ticket or something like that. Is that the case with them? And if it isn't, it works fine. Or can you literally pick up the call and speak to somebody?
I'm sure. You'll be glad to know. You won't be surprised to know that I've never heard of Slack. Have you heard of Slack?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
When they said download Slack, I was like,
I can imagine.
How do I do that? Anyway, no. So
you were like, is that like Tinder?
I've got that. So it's instant. I genuinely had never heard of Slack, we message together. Catherine wants to have a catch up with me this afternoon about something, so we're going to have a little conversation after you. But if we want to chat some on the phone, that we can do that, but Slack has been very effective.
So for people who don't know, it's a really easy communication system, ties it all together, doesn't it? So that you're not missing emails back and forth. You've got the flow of communication there. That's a really nice little feature, isn't it? Great. That's good to hear. And Jeff, just on a basic level, let's just talk about, and again, a caveat it if it is, but is it quick? Is it reliable? Obviously, this is a true cloud-based system. Have you had downtime or unexpected downtime? What's it been like?
No, we've had no downtime. I mean, look, obviously, we've had things that have stopped working, you know what I mean? But that's because something's being built and, whatever they're doing their end, or something we've done has created a blockage in the system. And, and I would say that, when that's happened, within 5 minutes or an hour, problem solved. It seems to be quite quick. They seem to be able to identify whatever it is that's happened quite quickly and put it right, So yeah, we've had little teething problems with different aspects of it, probably everything really. And even today, I stumbled across something I'd not really used before. When I tried to use it, it didn't flow. But they only know that as I'm reporting that back to them.
That's absolutely your part of the promise, isn't it? You're going to give them
absolutely.
that. And just on a basic level, are you finding yourself accessing it, remotely and everything else? Is your missus having a go at you? Put that down, and
Definitely. What, the phone? Yeah, she's she's definitely always having a go at me. But no, yeah, listen, I mean, 100%. I mean, obviously we're starting a new business, so it's difficult to put it down anyway. But the little toys that Street provide they're simple to use. The remote version's easy to use, even for me. So yeah, without question, we've been on it 24/7, and Street is 24/7, isn't it? For the consumer as well as us.
And is it too early to have started looking at integrations? I know, obviously, when you're a BT, you try and concentrate on doing your own thing. One of the big advantages, certainly, it will have attracted you going forwards, is that they have offered this up. That they say that they're going to have an open API. They want to integrate with other third parties. Have you started integrating other third party elements, or is that just you're going to wait to do that in the future?
Not yet. I mean, it's obviously one of the reasons why we looked at it. And again, I'm sure they won't mind me saying, and I would assume other people have mentioned it. But the first thing I was intrigued by was the integration of Street Inspector. That potential of that.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Well, all those landlord addresses coming in straight into your database is, set on leg.
Well, exactly. I mean, it really is. The idea of having a CRM system overlaid and blended in your prospecting whole of market data is just the future, isn't it? There's just a no-brainer.
100%. I mean, and so yeah. I mean, all the integration, if I can say it, are of obviously massive importance and interest to us. But in truth, we haven't got there yet. We've been so busy doing what we're doing on a daily basis. We're just looking forward to that. I mean, I think we were very aware that would probably be a December, January sort of rollout, really.
Okay, cool. And we've spoke about you didn't have a data conversion, but what about getting things like template setup and everything else? Were they boilerplate templates? Did you come and say I wanted to change them slightly? How did that work in terms of things like brochures, standard letters?
So okay. When we opened Eden, when we're talking about Street, when we opened Eden, we sort of made a conscious effort to try and not be the estate agent making all the decisions based on my estate agency experience. So looked closely at what they had done, and so the short answer is I stuck with what I loved, what they had provided me. So all of the valuation letters,
they were good,
very good, but they weren't what I would have written. If that makes sense, which is a good. So it doesn't read the same as everyone else's valuation letter. So it not only looks very different. Okay, you would have seen it, the valuation letters, etc., and the templates. So satisfied, more than satisfied with what was there, but they've also said, okay, if you want to change it, you can do what you want. I'm yet to want to have done that. Although actually, as of today, they've asked me to look at their new applicant cards offering before they roll it out to the system to make sure I think it's got everything on there that it needs. So there's a nice two-way sort of street going on there, but everything they've given us as default, if you like, so far has been great. And I've got to say, the consumers, and I haven't got to that yet, but love it.
Well, let's touch on that now, because one of the biggest changes, hasn't it, has been that, look, most of us, and me and my old simplistic, me being the old hat selling CRM, all we ever worried about was selling to you, the agent. What, again, I think their foresight is, well, think about ultimately who the beneficiary is. They've thought about the agent's own clients, the consumer, and how they can deliver for that. Talk us through that then, in terms of how that you feel that's actually benefited.
Okay, so I get first and foremost, I think that's it. I mean, and they'll tell me if I've got this wrong, but I think the system's definitely been built with the consumer in mind, not us, the vendor, the buyer, the landlord, the tenant. Okay, and their experience, therefore meaning if they're having a better experience with our software, that's going to win more business for us. Therefore meaning, some of the functionalities and what you might see on a traditional CRM isn't quite what you might expect to see as an estate agent, so it's missing a few bits, but they're relatively, well, in my techie mind, I imagine they're relatively quick fixes to change at the back end of it all. So so the certainly the consumer, the access they have to make the things that I've learned since I knew when I had Street, when we first took Street, but since I've had Street, is that I've won my first ever instruction on a Sunday at 2:00, just sitting there, and I got a Street notification on my phone saying you've been instructed on 51 Nursery Road, and I was like, Jesus Christ, well, great, I haven't done anything, obviously, so I appreciate some of these things aren't totally new, and but the 24/7 access that the customer has, the consumer has, to be able to, whether it's make an offer, change their property details, pre-book slots in the diary, so that they don't have to talk to us about these things, as we enjoy. They're things that I've had to adjust to.
To take yourself out the comfort zone of, well, we've never done it like that before. Okay. That makes
again, all the things that I've been trained to do, and I've trained many people to do over the years, about phone, which obviously is in my DNA. This is a complete step away from that, not to replace it. But instead of me,
just as a matter of interest, and I'm sure this is the case, but it should be that if you're saving having the unnecessary conversation, that just checking in, checking out, it allows you to be much more proactive in terms of having the right conversations. Is that what you're starting to see?
100%. So, for example, like after a viewing, you'd always be asking for feedback. That's standard. And that would happen after we do a viewing. But immediately after a viewing's finished, there's a message sent off to a buyer or a tenant asking for feedback. So again, maybe this is like creating fire to me. It's like, wow, maybe there are other things out there do something similar. But the point is that without losing the relationship you have with a prospective buyer or seller, there's a lot of things that are coming at you automatically. And the customer now, they are happy to communicate this way. It's a go-to first choice. And I appreciate these. We're not reinventing the wheel here with this, but, certainly in the world of my experience in a estate agency, that's not, what would be perceived as good agency. So definitely it's cutting down on time doing jobs that, are important, but can be done directly through Street now. Meaning we've got more time to go and be proactive,
and that's really interesting. You mentioned your I mean, I want to say it genuinely, I don't know anyone who's talk about the no fear of the phone. You've always been in that very Josh Fegan-esque, get the phone, get them on there. But the problem with that is there is a proportion of the population now who doesn't see these for their primary use as phones, do they? And they communicate with you completely on their terms. And when whether that's chasing for viewing feedback or looking, whatever it is there, if you phone them and it's not entirely the right moment, it will just go to voicemail, don't you? So you've got to give them another way back. People famously want to communicate back to you in the way that you've communicated. Oh, sorry, they want you to communicate back to them the way they've communicated to you.
100%. And I think that's something where I've, like I say, from a personal perspective, that's something I've gone on a bit of a journey there, because I've always said, no emails, no WhatsApps, no, all phone. obviously Street is built in a way that, you know, and already there has been more than enough evidence to know that, you know, with my sort of perhaps some of my dinosaur thinking, you know, that that there's definitely sort of more than enough room and the appetite for that type of communication. So, you know, look, it's there every day. We're seeing from communications having with buyers and sellers, and like I say, I mean, certainly in the part of the world that I work in now, it's been received, you know, with welcome, opening arms, and there's nothing else to compete with it. So it's
now that's you know, that's something I remember some old tired hack of a software salesperson. Remember trying to sell to you and Bob over at Streets Ahead, you know, and I probably said, you just need one more listing to pay for this. And what was interesting, you were talking about there, you're sat there on your phone in beta mode, earliest things there, and going, you know, my God, this is actually something that's working proactively for us, isn't it? Support. It's a genuine partner. I've always said CRMs, there's lots of huge tech. I think, are you using Akaboom as well? Are you using... That's next. Yeah, okay. So you call yourself a dinosaur. That's absolutely fair. But what you aren't is you don't get distracted by the baubles like some people do in terms of that. And actually what this is about is CRMs have to be the foundation of your business because that's the source of truth. It's where the contact data goes in there and everything else. So to have something like this, you know, working for you again, just puts it at a massive advantage, doesn't it?
I mean, I think the skeptics will say out there, you know, it was replacing the estate agent. It doesn't do that. You know, they'll never replace the estate agent. I mean, what it does is enhances everything that we're doing significantly. You know, it's world-class communication within the CRM. Yes, looks great. It's simple. It's in a language that it's not an estate agency talk.
Yeah, applicants, and you know, all that sort of stuff that nobody ever gets. Yeah, I've got to apply to view a property. What's all that about? Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, it's one of the things I was nervous about was the instant booking. Of a viewing.
Oh yeah. So this is.
I was nervous about.
So explain a little bit about this. So my understanding is a bit like a few systems have it. You have now access to a diary. Actually, I say that loads of systems still don't have this ability, but somebody can essentially try to book an appointment, you know, online and there, and then you get into this. And actually, technically, that's not that hard. But diary management becomes hugely complex around that, doesn't it? In terms of what they're going to have the ability to just book directly into. You know, some people would fill with horror. So talk us through that, because you obviously were concerned about it.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, and the thing I was concerned about most is, again, that conversation we need to have with that prospective buyer. Have they got a property to sell? You know, are they letting their property out, or what they're doing about their finances? So those were all the first things that started racing through my head, and it was no. But obviously, you know, again, we're thinking about the consumer here, not just about us. So yeah, of course, first and foremost, you've got to agree some slots with the seller. So again, you know, we've got one lady is one of my vendors is an ambulance driver. She knows her work rota. She knows when it works. On a Saturday between 2 and 3, we can have those pre-booked times available. So when said applicant goes on to that particular property, it says book instant viewing between 2 and 3. That time is allocated on that day. We need to be able to confirm it, but we know it's convenient with the vendor. So we'll get a message immediately saying someone wants to view Queensgate 2:30 on Saturday, confirm with vendor, confirm with applicant, and we need to confirm it's okay in our hurry. So we do, my initial thought is I wouldn't have control of the final say, but we do.
But you do.
And then, of course, we then are able to pick up a conversation with that seller to confirm all of the usual bits that we would do before they physically walk into one of the properties. But the point of it is buyer loves it, seller loves it. That's great. That's easy, isn't it? It's easy. And everyone wants it now. Click book viewing now. Yeah.
It's everything. Yeah. If I pressed now on Deliveroo, I want my McDonald's coming here, you know, in a matter of seconds. I want to be able to track that rider all the way down. And if you don't get that these days, isn't it? And this is the problem. People are gauging you, your service, not against. Of course, they're gauging it against other estate agents, but they're also looking at everyone who's on the high street. And if there's other people down the high street who are using this technology, you reflect in a bad light, don't you?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And so, I mean, it's all of these things that I wouldn't say I was nervous about, but they were definitely on my radar as possible red flags.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I mean, if it's you've got to go into anything new, and it's certainly new to me, you
Yeah.
know, some of these things, you know, and embrace them, and and sort of
So
evolve, you know.
evolve, yeah. Well, it's genuinely disruptional, isn't it? I think that's the, you know, I get bored of hearing the amount of techies talk about, oh, we're going to disrupt it there, but that point about thinking about the ultimate consumer does make this a very different approach. So let's talk about just as well, because a few other people, they were, you know, a few people have been unkind and said, oh, well, that's just gimmicky, you know, that the ability to have travel time for you know, to get to meetings, the ability to have weather, you know, to show weather, what the weather's like on a particular day, so that you can
I
take
love that.
well, I
I
was
got
going to
really
ask you.
excited about
I did. Now, so for me, that was genuinely like, oh my god, that is brilliant. Is it genuinely useful, or is it just there for the sake of being there?
No. Do you know what? The reality is, it depends on. It's like having any tool in your box, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, these are the consumer, the client, the vendor. They've decided they want to use us. Okay, so we're booking a photo and measure. You know, so that's what
Yeah.
we're booking for Tuesday, and they've said we can do next week. We go to book the appointment, and then, which made me nearly fall off my chair. They've got this bloody weather forecast telling us that it's going to be chucking it down with rain on Monday and Wednesday. Tuesday's pretty clear, but Thursday's glorious sunshine. You know what?
Okay.
So when I tell that vendor, they're like, oh, great. So, not we've won the business, but it's just, you know, it's a
Did you
nice.
do that? Did you do that? I think on Thursday it's going to be perfect.
You know, and so far, touch wood, you know, it's been on the money, you know. So we've, you know, perhaps not as glorious sunshine as might have been anticipated,
Yeah.
but look, it's a little gimmick. Yeah, you could look at it that way, but it's a clever bit of kit which you can use. So
Yeah, look, you save yourself half an hour if you've gone out and it's been the wrong weather. That, you know, that's
absolutely,
tangible benefit. You know what I'd have done, by the way, just as a separate one. In my old days, I'd have launched it with a really, really basic weather thing where you only had 50% accuracy, but you want to upgrade. Pay 20 quid for the
I believe that. I believe that.
Okay. Jeff, you mentioned you've used other systems. You were responsible for implementing and rolling out systems. How do you feel? I mean, you mentioned a couple of different areas, but how do you feel this compares to those other systems?
It compares. Well, look, I mean, certainly it's so simple, okay? Whereas others aren't so simple. It's impossible to duplicate, okay? The way they've built it is impossible to duplicate and add on multiple persons, you know. That's in key. But the fact that it's so simple and interactive with the consumer, I think that's it. I mean, I sit here thinking to myself, you know, I don't want to. There are problems with every CRM, you know, that I've used. You get used to it, don't you? And it is what it is. But the fact that it's so simple and easy for us to use, and is easy to interact with our client, and they can use it because obviously they've got their own personal logins, passwords, and they are accessing their street account. So whether it's amending property details, as I mentioned already, changing a phone number, an email address, they've got the power to do all of those things. So yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, you know, and you would be the oracle here, there is nothing else out there that you can do that. I mean, I might have that wrong.
Did you call me the orifice or the oracle there? It's like
horrible sod.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as far as CRMs go, you would know better. But for me, it's yeah. I mean,
I just think it's a very exciting time. I think it's going to raise standards. You know, a lot of other CRMs that maybe got a bit stuck in their ways, let's say, are going to have to reimagine it, and that's great because it raises the standards for all across there.
Ultimately, for me, Simon, the big element of it was about, you know, the bottom line is I think that by having a system like this, it's going to enable us. We're not going to have to employ that extra member of staff, you know.
Well, that's massive. I mean, that genuinely is what it's about, isn't it?
It makes it so simple, you know. It makes it so simple, and already we've sat down here and we're talking, and you know, we've got an established team of people here, experienced estate agents, and we're all in agreement. We need to change the way we're working to utilize streets rather than, like I said, getting another neg that's going to make 250. Anyone who knows has worked with Jeff Ponchel, 200, 250 phone calls. Let's go. How many phone calls you making in an hour? I'm not saying I don't still, what phone calls, but there's a smart, work hard, work smart, do both.
Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. And okay, let's what is there anything you'd have done differently over the project, or is it as well as could be expected? Just that might be useful for other people who are thinking of going live. Anything you'd have got them to prepare or think about in advance of it?
No, only because I was, like I said, went into this eyes wide open that, we were told by the guys that this isn't working properly yet. You are at 50% of the capability. So we've not whined, I don't think, once, about
I'll talk to them separately. Oh, that Jeff.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've whined. But if there've been some, oh my God, but not directed at them because of a slight sort of delay on what we want to do. But again, we went into it eyes wide open. So actually, we've been nothing but impressed by their ability to solve a problem that we've had, which haven't been too crazy. Some simple stuff, the odd crash here and there where something's not gone down the right tube or whatever it does, so no, and I'm fully expecting all the promises they've made to me, they've delivered on. And
well, that's massive as well, isn't
absolutely. And if anything, like I said, I've got and ahead of the curve, I've got something they're asking for me to review before I didn't even know I was going to look at this happening. I wasn't expecting it till January. So yeah, I mean, look, happy days,
So a lot of people keep talking about with the price point. I mean, it's certainly not, an extremely cheap system there. They're doing new things. They should be able to charge appropriately. What was your view on that? Is it you just get what you pay for, or did it, I mean, cash flows clearly, is a key part of opening and running any business, but definitely the beginning. What was your view in terms of the price point? Felt all right for you?
It felt right for us. Look, it was the right price point for us. I mean, again, and I'm being totally honest, there were certain systems I didn't want to look at again, so the list was quite short, and I think when we saw it, it was a one-horse race. It wasn't okay. There wasn't really anything else to consider. So, they'll probably be on the phone to me after they've say, well, the price is going up. But it was the case I wanted it, we wanted it, and I think that it's worth the spend, in my opinion. But everyone will have a different view, obviously.
Of course. And can we look at this? Obviously, you've been kind enough a couple of times but just from a kerfuffle angle, the reason we were, obviously, I think you'd admit you came to Street was we were talking and doing one of our, what we call supplier MOTs. You were setting up by yourself. Yep. You wanted to rethink everything. And we sat down, didn't we, and listened to what you were wanting to do and gave you a few recommendations. We also listened to you about this key bit about CRM, didn't we? And in terms of, and I said, well, look, I've come across this product that, is literally not even out the tracks yet. And you again were okay to do it. I think you're happy enough with the way we supported you. Obviously, we did have to bend a few arms to make sure we just to get that in.
Yeah.
Did that kind of MOT consultative process work for you okay?
Listen, Simon, I mean, I think it goes without saying, I mean, you were the first person I reached out to, when we came away from our last project, and there was a list of recommendations, wasn't there? And I think and I think when you proposed Street to me, it was very much a case of you couldn't tell me what it was.
No. Unusually, I was bound by an NDA that I paid attention to.
Yeah, which we had to sign as well. So we had to sign the NDA shortly after. But no, I mean, look, obviously, we wouldn't have. I hadn't heard I don't know if the rumours were out at that point then, because I hadn't heard them. I thought off the beaten track a little bit on that, really with that. But no, I mean, the role that you played was obviously vital to us with even the introductions to Spectre and Ackerboom and these things we're going to be incorporating in the future. So to say that's a bit of paramount importance to us would be an understatement. So,
well, I can see your body language there. You having a coughing fit. Yeah, that's not coming easy.
that's the old the Rona coming on again.
Well, thank you for saying that. No, I was really keen. Obviously, we want to save time. We want to save money. So it's lovely when you see it in practice like that. And that's why, obviously, I've been so keen to get the interview to talk about it, isn't it? Because, you know, exactly the time, because you've got so much going on when you're starting a new business. You know, on average, established estate agents have 20 bits of unique supplier kits or 20 suppliers out there. You know, to layer that on the top when you're choosing an office, you're choosing, you know, you get staff, you can try to get the, it's too much, isn't it? Without any assistance is our belief anyway. So, well, look, I'm really glad.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And you know, yes, it's been, you know, an exciting journey. You know, we said earlier, if you can't enjoy putting a business together, what can you do? I mean, it's been great fun, and it is, and you know, but I definitely feel, whilst we are, you know, got super competent and capable people in the building, that, you know, you've got to be saddled up with the right kit, and you know, and
it's vital, isn't it? People, processes, and the systems behind it. There's a holy trinity there, isn't there? If you get those working in tandem, I've never seen a business, you know, you've got, it goes without saying, you've got to have the people. But actually, I've never seen a business that can't be better with the right tools for the job as well. You know, when it works hand in glove like that. So that's good. Okay, so one of the things I was, I mean, glad it's worked, by the way, because, you know, I've got this in the bank now. When I recommend to you a jetpack or something in the future that doesn't work, so let's at least say that. Okay, so let's ask you the key question here: is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you recommend this to a friend or colleague? And obviously, it goes without saying that that's not a competitor.
10, without question.
Perfect. That's lovely. I'm sure they'll like that. And I was talking to Heather the other day, and she was mulling over whether she might need to issue an apology, because, you know, they have got this tremendous issue where, you know, all of these, they've got so many people waiting for it. As you know, we had to fight to get you to the head of the queue there. And she said, I'm thinking about issuing an apology, and being classically Whaley, I just said, are you mental? He said, I don't remember Steve Jobs apologizing for the iPhone being as, you know, as popular as it was. It's not for her to apologize, is it? The reason why there's so many people here is other companies have been letting down their clients in this respect. And as we said, ordinarily as well, it is a difficult process because, you know, these underpin your own system. So I guess my question to you there is what would you say to those people that, you know, that are potentially on the wait list? It's worth the wait, yeah, I guess.
100% worth the wait. I mean, again, you know, other than that, repeating what we've said already, I mean, it depends on what they're looking for their business. Again, you know, what sort of juncture they're at. I mean, this is fresh. It's, you know, it is reinventing the wheel to a degree to what's out there at the moment in CRM. So, you know, it's not remodeling a estate agency, but it's definitely the next level and another one of how we interact with our clients, you know, which we know, I'm not saying all tarring everyone with the same brush, is traditionally where estate agents fall flat on a lot of them fall flat on their face. So there's nowhere to hide within the system, you know, yeah, so if it's right for you, hang on for it for sure. I don't know what the waiting list, I don't know what the timeline is like.
I think it's about 2022 at the moment. So
Tottenham might have won the league by then.
Mate, you could be 40 points clear with a game to go and you still find a way of buggering it up. Let's not. We've been really nice together, Jeff. Let's not get. In fact, you're the last.
Let's keep it real.
So what's your favourite feature?
What's my favourite feature? I think my favourite feature, from the consumer's perspective, if I'm being honest, my favourite feature is the experience that they are, what work we do, how it presents to them, you know, and our branding. And again, you know, I don't know if you've seen this, Simon, but yeah, we've incorporated Street into our
Right. Yeah.
I think the two brands, you know, fit quite nicely.
It is modern. It's modern and slick, isn't it?
It's cool. It's cool, and I like, you know, and our brand's great too. But at the same time, you know, I think certainly the way that, you know, it's enhanced our brand, and they really link together. So my favourite feature from the consumer perspective, it looks amazing, and it's so simple for them to use. There's an opportunity for them to instruct me everywhere they go on the valuation report. And look, I mean, some of the just the process around booking, you've got to be an estate agent to understand, to book a viewing, confirm viewings,
Yeah.
have feedback. It's so simple.
Yeah.
Share it with clients. It sounds obvious, basic, boring stuff, doesn't it? But it's one click, it's done, easy to find, simple to use.
Brilliant. Well, again, I'm really, really happy. Right. Thank you very much for taking. I'm sure everyone's going to be really interested in terms of this. We'll catch back up in a few, because it does evolve, doesn't it, over time? I mean, not just in terms of the way you use the system. And I think tracking your journey, it's like, that's really going to be quite useful for us. Just finally, have you got a message for the street team?
No, listen, I mean, that's been amazing. I mean, thank you very much for everything, all the support we've had so far. I hope we've not been too much of a pain. From Heather to Catherine and Stella have been first class. Thanks for all your support, and great product. Love it.
Brill. Jeff Quantrell in the States, thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time out, sharing your experiences. And once again, people, hear it here today. I think, it looks like it delivers. This is the real deal, people. Follow the street. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.